Well, it's that time again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the interview with Craig Veltri.
Thank you, Megan Pennington, and welcome to the interview. Originally from Birmingham, Alabama, our guest today is a singer, songwriter, and poet in a seemingly constant state of discovery and healing. From her first book of poems, Poems from the Back Pew, a journey from faith to doubt and beyond, to her music, including her latest single, Ghost, which we will play at the end of this episode, have been created in her hope of stopping a cycle of toxicity. Recording in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and calling in from Nashville, Tennessee, here she is, Rebekah Gilbert. Rebekah, welcome to the interview.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm
Now, on your
excited.
web, on your website, it said that you are a champion of the late bloomer and that you began your writing career in earnest around 2009. Uh, were you always at the pen, or is that year a marker of when you really started going at this in earnest?
Yeah, so I always loved to write, but I was more like, I guess, educational about it most of my life. I loved English classes. I majored in English. I loved to write research papers, that
I'm a
sort of stuff.
minor
And
in English myself. I get it.
okay, so so then around 2009, I kind of discovered the my creative side. I've always loved to sing, and there was that musical side, but I didn't really know I could write creatively. I thought I was only kind of a research kind of writer.
I see.
And so when I started out blogging in 2009, and that just led from one thing to another, and here I am, like writing music.
Well, from writing longer form blogs, which are really more just essay kind of forms, breaking it down into poetry and then eventually into songwriting. Which one was first? Was it writing songs or was it writing poems?
No, first was of course the long form, and then that turned into poetry. Poetry became an outlet for me to say things that I couldn't blatantly say in prose. So poetry came first, and then actually somebody said to me one day, said, "Have you ever thought about songwriting? You write very lyrically." And I said, "Well, I've thought about it, but I don't know how to." And so I had a mentor basically teach me how to write songs, and that's where that came from.
No, everyone I think learns in their own way, and so that would definitely check for sure. You do your latest single. It didn't go without noting with your book of poems, Poems from the Back View, that you have a poem called Ghosts, and now you have a single called Ghosts. Lyrically, both are very different, but did one feed the
No, actually not at all.
other?
um so no, the song actually came from a phone call from a family member who was telling me about some things she had learned about that had happened that affected several generations. Something that had happened in the past that affected like three or four generations. And got off the phone with her, and that song just came like that. So no, it had nothing to do with the poems.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to give a quick reading of that particular poem.
Okay.
Ghosts by Rebekah Gilbert. You're counting ghosts amidst the flames, haunted by a past you can't let go. I'm stalking angels who never came when I prayed and asked for faith and hope. If angels and ghosts could be bought and sold, we trade them for a different ending. With rainbows and gold, the stories untold, rewrite a tale of love transcending. No wonder your friends said that you have a very lyrical approach to your poetry, and this is in the context of something called "From the Back Pew." I wonder if that's where you learned how to sing.
For
But obviously, a lot of the content of this book of poems was a lot of the struggles with faith. Where do you stand with that now?
Well, I consider myself agnostic at this point. Yeah, I did learn how to sing. Music became my first love through church. I grew up, my dad's a pastor, and I grew up in small churches. And so there was lots of harmonizing, lots of Southern gospel music in my life growing
You learn
up.
not to clap on the 2 and 4, basically.
Right. Then I was in choir, and then choir in school. So yes, church was my first introduction to music and loving music. And my mom was a music lover. She sang in church, she played the piano. Anyway, and then about 12 years ago, I left the church, and after a very, very long struggle, and tried to hold on to the faith, tried to keep my faith, and ultimately just couldn't reconcile all the things I'd been taught, all the things I'd read. Couldn't reconcile it with the lives I had seen lived and my life. And so at this point, I just stand in a place of more questioning than anything, I guess, doubt.
I'm kind of in the same boat myself. I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic schools, studied a lot of different religions myself, and I really don't think nobody has the answer to what happens to. But I think the thing that I learned most out of that journey is that I am not God.
Right.
I'm kind of in a holding pattern receipt. I would say agnostic, leaning atheist, maybe, but probably not. So you're in similar company, Rebekah Gilbert, here on the Craig Veltri interview, proud member of the Scarfire Media Podcast Network, Scarfire Media LLC, scarfireradio.net. Check out the Flame, check out the Indie Musicians catalog, check out our merch store, and all the great podcasts on the Scarfire Media Podcast Network, the Cool Brother Podcast, the Mothership, the Fire Pit, and of course, thank you for listening to the Craig Veltri interview. Now, pretty much all of your music kind of keeps, you actually have described it as kind of warm light in the darkness almost. Do you feel that is just that's the sound you're seeking, or is that the sound that's just naturally coming out in your songs?
I think that's just the sound that naturally comes out. I actually had a girl tell me that I had gone to an open mic and sang one of my songs, and she came up to me afterwards, and she was like, "Your sound and your songs are like a warm light in a dark room." And I was like, that is such a sweet compliment. I take it that way because I do write a lot about a lot of dark material, and the lyrics to most of my songs are kind of dark and heavy. And so for someone to recognize that it can come across as a warm light to I guess speak to, which is what a songwriter always wants. You want your song to speak to somebody. You want them to be able to resonate and relate to it.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
what I felt like that comment was. And so yeah, I don't seek that out. And actually, this has been a struggle a lot lately, is like, what is my sound? What is my voice? Do I truly know my voice? I think we're always questioning that. So that is just what comes out. It's not anything I seek.
No. Well, by the same token, my standard question to any singer-songwriter is: are you a waiter or a writer? Are you constantly writing? Do you dedicate time to it, or does the muse just hit you?
Both. So
Standard
for
answer.
a long time, for years, up until probably a few months ago, I would get up and I would write every single morning. Not necessarily songs, just whatever came. I'm a big proponent of journaling. So I would get up and I
Well,
would
you did have a blog at one point, so.
Yes. So I would get up every morning and journal. Sometimes it might be 10 or 15 minutes, and sometimes it might be an hour. And a lot of my poetry, a lot of songs came from that. But then I also do, there'll be times when, something will just strike and the muse will hit, and I'll just sit down and write. So it's both. And I guess over the past few months, our lives have been a little bit chaotic with moving and, just it's been chaotic. So I haven't done as much journaling, but I'm trying to get back into it this month. I'm I like to write to prompts a good bit. So there's this group I'm a part of that sends out a daily prompt for the month. And so I like to write to prompts and just free write and see what happens.
Did a lot of your stuff seems to be a bit close to home? Did any of them make their way into your discography? Any of those prompts songs?
Oh, for sure. Gosh, let me think about that. Sober, I believe Sober probably did. Well, Sober came from a book I was reading, which I also consider prompts. When you're reading a book, it's like it's gonna prompt thoughts. A lot of the poems that I wrote did come from those prompts. Um, I'm going through in my mind which songs I've done
Well,
and
let's
if they
focus
came
in
from
on
the prompts.
Sober. What book were you reading, and what did
Oh
that
my
impact?
gosh.
Are you in recovery for that matter?
No. So I was reading Daisy Jones and the Six. Um, and so one of the characters in the book really struggles with addiction and, wanting to be sober, but also wanting that high. And I had been reading that book and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, that song was just there. But I think everybody struggles with some type of addiction, whether it's to work or a person or a substance, food, whatever. I feel like everybody struggles with being addicted to something and going, okay, I know this is not good for me, but oh, I crave it. And that song came from that reading that book and just my own struggles of, like, oh, this is not good for me, but oh, maybe I crave this. So that's where that
As
came from.
I only ask because as somebody who is 3 years sober myself, it certainly rang very true. So it was clear that you caught a grasp of it, and I thought it was in a way that it was experience on that one. So bravo in digging into that character. But there
Thank
are
you.
a couple. Probably my favorite song that you didn't cover, and I really have enjoyed listening to Ghosts. Um, Coosa River, which is obviously a location nearby you, and it certainly is. If I can turn a Tennessee Williams phrase, the song seems to be memory. So am I on the right track on that one? What were you on the Goose
Okay.
Road when you wrote this song?
Okay. Let me tell you about this song. Okay. So as a kid, Coosa River is in Alabama. And as a kid, we lived near the Coosa River, not on it, but near enough that I could walk with a friend, and get down to the banks. And so my dad would take me fishing on the Coosa River, and he would tell me, about you don't eat the fish out of here and you don't swim in this water, at least in that particular location. It was near the paper mill. And so, it was
Ah,
considered
okay.
dirty. Yeah. So it was considered dirty. And
My
I did
dad
have,
lived near the Allegheny River, not far downstream from a steel mill, so there were similar
okay.
concerns that went ignored.
Okay.
Continue. So,
Right. Okay. So, like my friend and I, this was around 9 or 10 years old. My friend and I would go down to the banks of the river. Actually, we would go to people's houses and go out on their docks, not even knowing who it was, stranger's house, go out on their docks, lay on their docks and look up at the sky, right there on the water. But anyway, so then we only lived there, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And then a few years ago, my husband and I were out on the lake and realized that part of the lake was on the Coosa River. And so I was like, hey, let's just go as far as we can up and see if we can make it up to where I remember going as a kid. And on the way there, actually, one of my daughters and her boyfriend were with us on the boat. And on the way there, we passed this part of the river on the banks where there were a lot of rundown trailers, and they had, their front porches had rundown washers and dryers, yet there were these big trucks with the big tires, and then almost everyone in that little section of the bank had Confederate flags flying everywhere.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is not good. And um, so doing what I do, I grabbed my phone and I just started writing, about what I saw and how I thought that would make other people feel, especially people of color. How does that make them feel if they pass this area?
Yeah.
And what goes on these banks? What, especially from a female perspective, what do women who are living in this situation, what are they experiencing? Because this is an area, it's in Talladega County. It's
I've been through
known
there a couple times, so yeah.
Okay. So it's known for, you've got this beautiful lake area, but you've also got this little part of the county that isn't necessarily friendly to people of color or to women. So part of that was just my imagination writing down what I thought might happen there. And so I just tucked that away. Originally, I had thought I would write a blog post about it. And then I thought, it feels a little judgmental. I don't think I will. So
Is that usually where your stop and start usually comes when you decide what the feeling is going to take form in? It needs to stop at a poem. It could become a song. It could be a blog post. Do you have a certain stopgap as to where it's going to go, or is it just more organic than what I've just laid out?
no, I mean, it's just, no, I had no idea this would become a song. So I kind of tucked it away because my original thought was it would be a blog post, but I couldn't find a way to say what I wanted to say without it being judgmental and offensive. And I didn't want that to be the case either. Even though I felt like their flags were judgmental and offensive, I didn't want to, offer the same.
Yeah.
So, I tucked that away for probably at least a year, if not two. And then my friend Michael Paris, who is from North Carolina, fabulous songwriter, we were going to write one day over FaceTime and we couldn't decide what we wanted to write about. But he said, hey, I want to use the phrase 1953 Red Belly Ford Jubilee in a song. And I was like, okay, that's random. And
Quite.
he had yeah, his dad had a 1953 Red Belly Ford Jubilee tractor, and he, I guess it kind of has a special place in his heart, and he wanted to use it in a song. Thought it would be great. And I was like, actually, I think I have something that might work because by this point I'd started thinking Coosa River might be a fun song,
Mm-hmm.
but I had no idea, what it would be about. And so that clicked. Oh, I still have this little thing tucked away that I never did anything with. And so I read it to him and immediately he was like, yes, that's our song. And so we just started crafting a story of, what happens on these banks on the Talladega County line where these Confederate flags are flying. And so we just crafted this story that might or might not be true. And that's where it came from.
I won't spoil it, folks. Listen to that song from Rebekah Gilbert here on the Craig Veltri interview on Scarfire Media Podcast Network, scarfireradio.net. Now, you appear to have been very in earnest about releasing your own material until recently when you released the Gnarls Barkley Classic in a very, let's say, muted version of their song Crazy. It is just beautifully done. It just gives a different kind of Gnarls Barkley's version is just kind of in your face about the crazy. Yours is just like the production of it is almost kind of more of a self-doubt kind of sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, two questions about it. Was this recorded as a think opportunity? And two, if not, how did you come to reimagining this song?
No, it was not recorded as a sync opportunity. I wish. But no, I had just
I wouldn't put the kibosh on it. I will say that.
Okay. All right. Good to know. No, I had just been playing this song out, when I'm out doing gigs and playing covers, and I had played this one, and I actually, my guitar teacher had suggested, hey, because I always like to take songs that people know really well and like do them a little bit differently. And I had slowed this one down, and he was like, hey, why don't you try some different chords. And so we messed around with it and got it to where I liked it. I've been playing it out. And so actually I had been talking with my producer before we started Secret Keeper, and she was like, hey, I think it would be a great idea for you to record a cover and go ahead and get that out before you start releasing the singles for Secret Keeper. And so immediately I was like, crazy. I just feel like that one is that fits my wheelhouse for my voice. It fits my vibe as far as just smooth, I guess, even though you know, I was talking about earlier not knowing my voice necessarily. I feel like that one's a really good representation of my voice, whereas some of the songs on Secret Keeper are more of a challenge for me, and that's intentional. But anyway, that's how that came about. It was just mainly, hey, let's get this out there, a cover, you know, so that people can hear this before you delve into your own stuff.
It's soothing, and it's also kind of sultry as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a nice, like I said, I think it's a very nice spin on
Thank
that
you.
song for sure. Now, Ghosts is coming out, and it appears there's going to be another EP on the horizon of it. What is the rest of the promotion of this going to look like? Are we talking a B-side single, music video, obviously the album to follow? Music, what's that going to look like?
So for Ghost itself, there's no music video for this one. Just there'll be, you know, social media content. So this is the 5th release of a 7-song EP. This one, so this and Sober are the only 2 that I wrote alone. This one is just very, very close to home. The idea of trying to break generational cycles. As far as promotion for it, I don't really have much planned for this song other than just social media content. I had originally thought about doing a video, and may eventually, but just with the chaos of moving, and I've had a child living with me this summer and a dog to take care of. It's just like all the things that I wanted to happen haven't necessarily happened. So it has been a chaotic year to be releasing an EP. I will say that.
I gotta tell you, being an independent artist, it's never a good year. It's never a perfectly quiet time to do it. I've done a bunch
Right.
myself. I totally understand. So as far as just could it also be that, you know, doing a music video and just getting the song out? I only asked because my previous record, Letters to the Defendant, was about my divorce, and it was one of those things that I just wanted to just get it out, say it, have it be in the periphery so it doesn't live in my head.
Right.
So I did 2 music videos for it, and I just kind of shooed it away and moved over to a bunch of other things. Because this song is so personal and deep to you, could that also be perhaps there's another, you know, you're just kind of like, it's out, I'm done with it, I said it, let's move on.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like this whole EP is that way. Again, these topics for this entire EP are very heavy, even though some of the songs are more upbeat and more enjoyable to listen to as far as melodically and musically. All of the lyrics for all of the songs are really dark. So I feel that way about it a little bit. If I had taken the time and to do a video for this one, I would be happy with that. And I may eventually, because who says you can't put out a video later on, right? So,
Just ask
but a
Chapel
little,
Roan.
right? So it does feel a little bit like, whew, I got this out of my system. But then also my last EP, Year of Jubilee, that I released last year, that felt that way too. It felt like, okay, I got this out of my system, I can move on. But then I keep coming back to these darker themes anyway. So I don't know, we'll see.
Do you find it difficult to write happier songs? I'm falling into that thought
Yes.
myself.
Yes, I do. Like, I'll go to writers' rounds and listen to other people have all these fun, upbeat, happy songs, and I'm like, how do you do that?
I Maybe you feel the same way. I've tried and I feel so lame afterwards. So
Yeah, yeah,
it,
it just feels cheesy.
I
Like I can't write a good happy song.
don't deserve happiness. I mean, well, hopefully this will bring you and the audience some happiness. We have a nice way of closing here on the Craig Veltri interview. It's called the No Kidding Questionnaire. A couple of rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to your mind, whenever you're ready, Rebekah Gilbert, away we go. Childhood celebrity crush.
Say that again.
Childhood celebrity crush.
Childhood celebrity crush. Okay, Michael J. Fox.
I was a huge Back to the Future fan. Still am to this day. I totally get it. What it is? What is it about the guy?
Oh my gosh. I think he just came across as so humble. Even in the midst of his stardom, he just had this, I don't know, cute all-American boy look,
Even
I
though he is
guess.
Canadian.
But he had the cute all-American boy look. And I mean, even throughout his career, he's been just such a humble kind of guy. And I've always enjoyed his material. I remember back when I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13, you would get these magazines,
Like
like Teen
Teen
Magazine or whatever.
Tiger
Yeah.
Beat and such.
Yeah. And they would have like an address where you could write them a letter. And I remember writing Michael J. Fox a letter and getting like a signed little poster or something, hung it up in my room. So yeah, it was him.
Yeah, you probably also got a lot of other free stuff from Tiger Beat because that's the way that magazines used to get you on your mailing list as well.
Right.
So, what was your favorite subject in school?
English, always English, reading. Yeah.
Do you have a book from back then that you enjoy reading? In fact, let's stick with poetry. Is there a book of poems that really spoke to you and spoke to you so much that you became a poet yourself?
Actually, back then, no. Back then, I hated poetry. Like
Okay.
even in college, like I had to take poetry classes for English major, and I hated it. So that's crazy that I ended up writing all these poems because I
Why was
couldn't
there
understand,
hatred back then?
because I felt like I couldn't understand them. I was very black and white. That's the way I was raised, very black and white. Something needed to say exactly what it meant. And so trying to delve into poetry and figure out what something meant was like, oh no, this is foreign to me. So yeah, no, as far as poetry, no, as far as books, oh my gosh. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. I mean, I've always loved to read.
Is there anything good you're reading now?
I'm actually reading The Diary of Anne Frank right now.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, I never was assigned to read it in high school or college or anything. So I never read it. So I'm reading it right now. Timely, of course.
Yes, indeed, and she was a very vibrant young woman. Still prone to some of the nonsense that childhood can bring,
Right.
but as the world's crumbling around her, it's amazing that she had the insight and the kindness that she did.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
uh, unfortunate circumstance for sure. What occupation other than your own would you like to attempt?
Yeah. Um, hmm. Like today, or what did I want to be when I was growing up? Because
If that
those are two
hasn't
separate
changed,
questions.
sure.
Okay, so when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. That dream just kind of fell apart in college. I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this.
Good that you figured it out then before during your undergrad.
Yeah. So now, like, I guess if I had to choose a different occupation now, I would love to be like a makeup artist for stars, what a bridal, anything anything makeup. I love makeup. I love fashion. I
I've
used to
seen
do
I've
makeup.
seen I've seen some social media of you actually selling makeup as well. So
Yeah, so yeah, I actually used to sell makeup, and I actually taught women how to apply their makeup. It's funny because so many women, like especially, like you get in your 30s, 40s, you assume women know how to take care of their skin and apply their makeup, and so many don't. And so a lot of times I would have people where I used to live, people would contact me and they would come to my house and I would teach them how to apply their makeup. So I love doing that kind of stuff. I think anything I could do that would make women feel better about themselves, to teach them how to feel better about themselves, to teach them how to pursue their dreams and not give up on themselves even later in life. Anything that I could do like that would just that's very fulfilling.
I am genuinely curious. What is one major don't that a lot of women do when they apply makeup?
One major don't. A lot of people don't apply primer. And that is like, if you want, okay, so say for instance, you
I mean,
are
that makes
painting a
sense for a
wall.
fence, but a face?
Yes. Like if you're painting a wall, you want your paint to either already have primer in it, or you're going to prime it first, right? So you're filling in, like, on your face, you're filling in your pores, and then it acts as like this stickiness for your makeup. And so a lot of women would say to me, why doesn't my makeup stay on? Why does, all this, why do I get black under my eyes and all this kind of stuff? It's like, because you're not using primer. And a lot of women didn't know that. And maybe now they do. There's so much social media about applying your makeup, and a lot of, if people watch that, they would know now. But a lot of times people they didn't know. So yeah.
Well, on the other side of the coin, I don't care how many bags of money have been handed to you, Rebekah Gilbert. What job would you never want to attempt? And yes, it can be something you've done before.
Bookkeeping and accounting.
A rather popular one.
I hate numbers. I am no good at math, which is funny because, music is mathematical. And that's probably the biggest struggle musically for me, is the math part of it.
How
But
so? Is it the rhythm, the time signature portion of it?
yeah, it's rhythm for me. I'm actually taking a few lessons with do you know Dave Isaacs?
I know the name.
Okay, so he calls himself the guitar guru here in Nashville. And so I'm taking a few lessons with him because he's very much about feeling the rhythm, feeling comfortable with your guitar. I have not I've only played guitar for a few years. And I've only played out for about a year. So it's
Could have fooled
still,
me.
oh, thanks. It's still very uncomfortable to me, and the whole rhythm thing. And so, like, he's just helping me with that. And he's very much like, there is a math element to it. And I'm like, yeah, no, and that's what I suck at. But I did do bookkeeping and accounting for my husband's business for a couple of years. And whew, I don't ever want to do that again.
Well, to the point about rhythm, I've said it on the program before. You're right-handed, obviously, and that's my dominant hand as well, which makes that my strumming or rhythm hand.
Right.
This is where you make your money, when doing this. I'm sure you can do a lot of cool things over here, but if you don't got this, you're just making noise. So
right.
So bravo, Mr. Isaacs. I couldn't have said it better myself. You've been doing a lot of back and forth between Nashville and Alabama. What is your go-to food on a road trip?
What a burger.
What a burger.
What a burger. Like, we've had quite a few times over the last couple of months when I had to go to Birmingham, play gigs, but we had to come back that night. And so I wouldn't finish until like 9:30, and then we'd have to drive back to Nashville. So that's a 3-hour drive. And so as soon as I finished, my husband would be like, well, what do you want to eat? And it's like, what a burger. I don't know why, but what a burger sounds good after playing a 3-hour gig in the sun.
To a 24-hour restaurant. I've only had it once, and couldn't shake the reputation that was being told to me that the waits are obnoxiously long with the
Oh, they
place.
can be. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They can be.
So,
But their cheeseburgers are amazing.
I, I know of a couple of greasy spoons in East Nashville. I'd like to recommend you to. But
Okay.
if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh my
Possibly over
gosh.
burgers.
Okay. Uh, Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. I know there's so many people that, whatever. I love her. I love her work ethic. I think she's so smart. I think she's so business minded. Clearly, she is a workaholic, a workhorse. I don't know. But she seems to have like this balance. Um, or at least in my perception, she has a balance. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I just think she would be so fascinating to have a conversation with. She just came out. I guess you've seen the podcast interview with.
Travis
Okay.
and Jason Kelsey. Yes, it
Yes.
actually just
Yes.
dropped. We're recording this on August the 14th, Thursday, August 14th, and it did drop overnight. And yes, I have listened to it, and I
Yeah.
agree totally. I don't think it's so. I don't think it's hyperbolic. I've said it on this program many times in the past. Taylor Swift is a genius. I don't like a lot of her music, but I do love a lot of that music. You don't put
Yeah.
out 11 albums and hit 1,000, but she's got her dedicated fan base that can fill stadiums. That does not happen when you're not driving a wagon and being ultra calculated about all of it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
and taking some risks too. I mean, when she talked about it in the interview, that, and I highly recommend everybody listen, stick around for Rebekah Gilbert's Ghost. But once this interview is over, go listen to that podcast because
Right.
it's she talks about how much of a risk it was to go back and get her masters and even be recording it in the same time. She really stuck her neck out because she really believed in her music, her fan base, and she continues to bet on herself. And like I say, sometimes I like the music, sometimes I don't. But she is the most popular and consequential artist of our time for a reason. And even if my music doesn't mirror hers, I would say yours doesn't as well. We pay attention.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, I imagine this could be a mile long, or may just take a second to come out with it. What is your biggest pet peeve?
My husband's snoring.
Ah, coming
It really is.
as someone who snores myself and comes from a long line of snorers, it must be bad.
Yeah. So he actually he went and got this mouth apparatus to help with the snoring, and it's better.
Like for
But like,
apnea?
huh?
Like for sleep apnea?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a CPAP. It's
Oh, I
it's
see.
just this, it's like it's almost like a retainer
Oh,
that controls his jaw, and it helps. But I mean,
because really what
yes.
that is like your soft palate vibrating as you breathe at night and breathe through your mouth.
Yes.
So that makes perfect sense. Good luck with that. I hope that improves your poor Mr. Gilbert. Um, Last question of the questionnaire, Rebekah. What is the best advice that anyone has ever given
Mm. Okay. So I was part of this, or I still am part of this group called Artist and I went through a mastermind for about a year with this group, focusing on my art. So this is when I was putting my poetry collection together. It was while I was writing and getting ready to release Year of Jubilee, and still in a very negative headspace about all the dreams I wanted to chase. Getting older, it feels like you've lost your chance. And I remember one of the facilitators in that mastermind talking about she said, your nervousness, when you feel nervous, it's the same feeling you have as when you're excited. So why not think about when you're, nervous about doing these things, or you feel like it's not going to go right? Why not think about, hey, this is exciting. This could all go right for me. And that was a game changer, especially when I first started playing out, because I would be so nervous and I would feel like, oh, I can't do this. And so I would start telling myself, oh no, I'm really excited. And just that little switch in how I thought about these feelings I was feeling made such a difference. It gave me the courage to just keep getting out there and screwing up and trying again and failing and trying again. And along the same lines, I was actually headed to a songwriting workshop with that group when I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast, and she was talking about how people think negatively and think about all the things that could go wrong. And she said, but what if it all goes right? Why don't you think about what if it all goes right? What happens if it all goes right? And that was a huge, along the same lines, that was a huge mental switch for me to turn on, to go, oh, but what if everything does go okay? So yeah, just those two little gems have been a huge game changer for me in the last couple of years.
It almost reminds me of going on a roller coaster, all the things that could possibly go wrong on this little train ride. And then all of a sudden, click, you hit that first hill, and then you hit that second hill. And then by the end of it, you want to do it again. So
Yeah.
I started, my first record came out when I was 29. So I definitely say to anybody, you've even described yourself as a late bloomer. I won't even say better late than never, but it's never too early, and it's never too late to find your artistic voice. And I think we are all the better for it. So this is the part of the program that should be the favorite part for every single guest on the Craig Veltri interview. Rebekah Gilbert, it is time for shameless self-promotion. Ghost is available now, along with all of your other music. Where can we find it? Where can we find you? Fire away.
Okay, it's RebekahGilbert.com, REBEKAH, Gilbert, GILBERT.com is where you can find everything, but you can also stream all of my music. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Rebekah Gilbert, or Facebook, or TikTok, or YouTube. All the socials.
Yeah,
and you can find my book, Poems from the Back Pew, on Amazon as well, or you can purchase it on my website.
No. Well, all of the stuff and a lot of stuff that you say could fit very nicely on a bumper sticker, and I look forward to talking to you about that when I'm referencing at a later date at some point. But it was a pleasure meeting you, and pleasure getting your insight into your craft here on the Craig Veltri interview. Thank you so much again, Rebekah, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
The Craig Veltri interview, where Craig Veltri interviews wonderful people, is a production of Scarfire Media, the voice of the independent arts. Written and edited by Craig Veltri. Your announcer is Megan Pennington. The opening theme, Shut Up I Love You, written by Trenton Chandler and Craig Veltri, performed by Craig Veltri, produced by Jack Gavin. The new single, Saving Up Dreams, is available now on all streaming. The latest merchandise for Scarfire Media, these very, very lovely t-shirt and sweatshirts are available now through bonfire.com. I'm going to look good in one. You're going to look a whole lot better. Get them now and support Scarfire Media LLC. Time now to update the event calendar, because you must know where I am at all times. Brought to you in part by Sandpiper Entertainment. Friday, August 29th, Wicked Tune on the 2nd Avenue Pier in Myrtle Beach from 4 to 7 p.m. Saturday, August 30th, Tin Roof Myrtle Beach from 6 to 9 p.m. Then Monday, September 1st, Labor Day, heading out to Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA, for Debbie Champion's Writers Round at the Commodore Grill in Nashville, Tennessee. My round begins at 6:30. I want to make this announcement here on this episode. My 40th birthday is coming up, and even though I think it's oxymoronic for anybody to celebrate a birthday in a week or a weekend, fortunately for me, my birthday does fall on a weekend, and I have 2 gigs booked for that weekend, and I wanted to announce them here so that you can make your plans early. September 19th, I will be playing at Munhall Main Street Tavern from 9 to midnight. At midnight, I will be turning the big 4-0. And on September 20th, my birthday proper, I will be playing at the Grumpy Beaver Pub in Bridgewater, Pennsylvania from 8 to 11 p.m. Come to one, come to both. They say new life begins at 40. For me, new life kind of began about 36 when I decided to quit drinking. But it's a milestone. It's a big deal to some. For me, it's just another day, but I'd love it if you came out. So please. The 19th and the 20th, Craig Veltri's 40th birthday weekend. And he just vomited a little bit in his mouth as he said that. For full dates, go to craigveltri.bandzoogle.com. For booking info, including full band and this podcast, email me at craigveltriofficial@gmail.com. You can find the interview on Facebook by searching the Craig Veltri interview, YouTube at Craig Veltri Music, and you can find me on Instagram, or as my old roommate, the Tommy Thomas, used to call it, Instagirl, at craig.veltri. For Rebekah Gilbert, I'm Craig Veltri, and this has been the Craig Veltri interview. With that, I'll pass. It's the latest from Rebekah Gilbert. To close us out, here's Ghosts on the Craig Veltri interview, proud member of the Scarfire Media Podcast Network.
My bloodline is stained with traces of crimes passed down through generations of poison and time. I'm haunted by sins that ain't even mine. They come alive after midnight. So baptize me in the water, wash away those ghosts. I don't stand a chance of escaping my roots. They're too deep in my bones. These dead men keep on troubling my soul. So baptize me in the water, wash away those ghosts. I'm tortured by stories attached to my name. They threaten me with silence and shame. Our blood is thicker than water, they say. Then I'll drain this red river right out of these veins. So baptize me in the water, wash away those ghosts. I don't stand a chance of escaping my roots. They're too deep in my bones. These dead men keep on troubling my soul. So baptize me in the water, wash away those ghosts. When they put me in the grave, cover me up with dirt. Will all these shadows fade? Will the cycle break? Baptize me in the water, wash away those ghosts. I don't stand a chance of escape.